Lessons in life can sometimes come at you fast and hard. My next guest learned about acceptance and self-care at the age of 20. Let's live out loud with Monica Wari next. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. My name is Sheila Monica. Woohoo! You found this channel. Well done. Now click subscribe and hit notifications so you never miss an episode when we upload. And we are living out loud at the waterfront, Karen, an amazing, incredible destination for lifestyle and retail. You gotta check it out. This is a host of local and international brands that now call the waterfront Karen home, and you've got to be part of the group too. I don't see why not. Well, wait, and make time to visit, stop by, do some shopping, enjoy the eateries. It's going to be a great day out for you and your loved ones. The waterfront Karen, you've arrived. And joining me for a conversation in this episode on life and when it gets raw and when it gets real is an amazing young lady called Monica Wari. Monica, thank you for making the time to be here.
Thank you, Sheila.
And thank you for reaching out. You know, a couple of weeks ago, and I always do this when we're getting ready for a new season, it's this, hey guys, how you doing? Social media wise, do send us story ideas. Do you want to tell a story? Do you know somebody with a story to tell? And you said, you know what, Sheila, I've got something to put on the table. Before you do, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Monica Wari. I work in government. I love reading spiritual books and exploring how the mind works. And so I've gone through some experiences, and one of those experiences is having a baby at a very young age. And I just feel that I'm at a point in my life where I'd like to share some of the lessons I learned from this experience, because I wish there was a video of a girl who had gone through what I went through as I went through that experience.
Now, listening to you speak, I can't help but think of a lady that I met in season 5, Jean Kyonga, who shared with us her story of being a teen mom. And you know, when you think about Kenyan young women, especially teenage, childhood pregnancies, those are a problem for us. But here you were in campus and you got pregnant. So I'm going to request that you take us back to that time in your life. And how long ago was that? Because I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, was that last year or the year before?
That was 12 years ago.
No way.
Yes.
Does she look like she had a baby 12 years ago? Look at her good. Okay, I'm kidding. But really, let's go back to that.
Okay, my story begins way before campus. So my parents took me to a college to do some accounting courses. And in that period, I met someone I was very attracted to. But he had a line of heartbroken girls behind him, so I decided this is not the guy for me. And I moved on. But then when I went to campus and 2 weeks in, I met him again. And that rekindled the feelings, and I forgot all the resolutions I'd made. So this relationship moved on pretty fast. And I can say we were reckless because I got into campus in 2005, September, and by May I was pregnant. This was a shock. So I decided to accept it and take responsibility. But the guy was of another opinion, and he slowly fled away. Yeah?
Well, most guys, unfortunately, and especially heartbreakers, he was on to the next one.
Yeah.
But then came, of course, the responsibility of telling your parents about what had happened.
So what I did, I wrote my mom a very long letter. And I explained to her what had happened and my desire to overcome this and succeed and finish my school. And she was very accepting of me. And I remember the only thing she told me is just go back to school. We'll get through this.
Okay. Now, I remember I was in campus and one of my campus mates got pregnant, I think in her second year as well. And I remember it wasn't very easy for her, because at some point, you're still a young girl, all your friends are going out, there's things that somehow you're not able to be a part of because your life has moved on to another level. What was that like, having a growing pregnancy and then you're literally being torn away from your youthfulness, you know, and I don't want to say youthfulness really, but you're just being torn away from the things that you should really be doing. What was that like?
My experience was a bit different because I think I really accepted it, like deeply accepted that this has happened and I'm keeping this baby. And my pregnancy was pretty easy. And maybe because I'd not been exposed to the club life, to going out, to having fun, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. And I was pretty confident. While in school, I was not hiding the pregnancy. I was just walking very confidently.
And nobody had an issue with it, or did people ask you questions?
Of course.
Well, you a bit, of course you would, you would definitely stand out.
People give me looks, but I was in a very confident space. I don't know why, but I was in a very confident space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the baby came.
Yeah, the baby
And what
came.
year were you in when the baby came?
So the baby came in January of 2007. I was in second year, and I didn't take time off from school. And this was a huge mistake because I had underestimated what being pregnant meant and what having a child, the birthing process, the emotional changes that take place, that this baby would need me as much as they needed me, and I wasn't available. So the baby was crying almost every night, and I started deschooling. And so I was a student during the day and a mother at night, and it was so hectic. And a few months of living like that, I got very depressed and I got mood swings. Like in the morning, I'm really happy, and in the evening, I'm just in a totally different mood. Yeah, so those mood swings were noticeable to the people around me, but I think they didn't think it was
very serious.
Yeah, as serious as it was, yeah.
And I think, you know, for a lot of people, we assume that after a woman delivers a baby, there's always going to be what they call the baby blues. So maybe they assumed that was it, and nature would, you know, take its course and you would be okay. But what happened next?
So what happened is I started Googling my symptoms because I was feeling this is a bit too much. So because I could move from one very high experience, and then the next moment I'm really, really low. So I started Googling and I discovered postnatal depression. And when I gave a name to this thing, now I knew this was something that other women had faced, and I started looking for ways to get better.
Okay. You know, for many people, postnatal depression is now something that we can begin to talk about and to talk about openly. But a couple of years back, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was such a stigma to it because as a woman, here's the joy of your life. And so everything should be smiling and rosy and, you know, but then it's not an easy place to be. And it's important that we have this conversation, and I'm so glad you're being very honest and very candid about your journey and your experience with postnatal depression, because it's not just something that happens to older women. Because there's a school of thought that says, you know, this happens to women who maybe have babies over the age of 30 or over the age of 40. But no, it happens to women who have babies, period. Could even be in your teen years. As long as you identify it, then you can begin to find solutions for it. So you read about your symptoms and you knew for sure that this was what was happening to you. What did you do next?
I didn't feel like I could tell my parents because I felt I very disappointed them enough. So I just continued using Google. Google was my doctor. And I would Google, how do you deal with this? And so I discovered, like, when you're depressed, small tasks become
magnificent mountains.
So what I used to do is set myself small goals, like finish this task, you know, just push yourself through it. And when I finish this task, I look back and I'm like, you know, and I continued with that, doing that. And with time, I found that I was feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. I don't know, maybe other people would need medication or such things, but for me, that really worked. And also physical activity, because I remember there's a time a friend of mine gave me a Beyonce concert, and I watched Beyonce and I was just like, this is the woman. And from then on, I just listened to her music every time, and when I'm really down, I just plug in her music, dance, and feel better. And with time, it was not like it took a month or two. This was a process that took the whole of my third year to just process all
and you know,
this.
third year, things begin to get very hectic at school as well, because you're now beginning to get ready for the last sprint, and then you can clear and graduate and go into the workforce. But then you made time to pull yourself up and to stir yourself forward for yourself and for your baby. Did you talk about this with your friends, what you were going through and what you had identified?
I didn't tell anyone what I had discovered. I don't know why, but I just, maybe I didn't feel safe, because then it's a new concept and nobody talks about, at that point nobody was talking about it. So this is a self-diagnosis. I've not gone to a doctor and they've told me this is it. And just because maybe I'd faced a bit of judgment before, I didn't think my friends would understand. So they could, I'm sure they could tell that something was off. But maybe I didn't articulate, I didn't tell them.
You didn't tell anybody. So you got into your third year and then you were moving into your fourth year and baby is growing.
Yeah, baby is growing. Yeah, the fact that, you know, the baby grows and things ease up. Yeah. I think that also contributes to the healing process. Yeah. In the midst of this, I was still in a situationship with
the baby daddy.
Yes. So that's had to end. It was also something that was contributing to the stressful experiences. Right. And so by fourth year, my goal was end this and graduate.
Did he ever, you know, try to assist with the baby or even come to see the baby?
No. I think I dragged on that relationship for too long. Like, I couldn't comprehend how a human being could live with themselves like this. So I think out of curiosity, I kept that interaction going on just to try and understand or to try and figure out what, you know.
Like how do you do this? It was almost like he was in a lab and you were watching this whole process so you could understand. Yeah. Meanwhile, that wasn't really a relationship and he wasn't going to take responsibility. Yeah. Well, it's been a few years since. Tell us about winding up with school and finding work, because you know you belong to a lucky few. I know a lot of graduates who've been looking for work for years now, but you know you found something special to do and you're doing it well. Tell us about winding up at school and stepping into the job market.
I really worked hard. I put in the work in fourth year and I did graduate. And when I graduated, I decided not to go to look for work. I decided to just go back to school and finish my CPAs, which I was halfway through at that point. So my parents were supportive. I went back to school. And in the midst of that, there was some advert for a graduate trainee program. And I applied and got.
And you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here you were in the workforce. And you know, there's a lot that's still said about single parents. There's still a bit of stigma attached to being a single mom. I'm not so sure about the single dad status, but single moms still, you know, get it in terms of how people perceive them to be, how society interacts with them. How was that for you, knowing that you are now in the workplace, but people now also look at you and say, oh, and you know, she's a single mom. Did anybody give you grief about it, or nobody even bothered?
You know, when you get to know new people, you will tell them you're a mom, and they'll look at you, like, give you that very
honestly,
look.
You don't look like your typical mom.
But I guess good, I'd really accepted myself.
Yeah.
So of course people give you those funny looks, but I think I'd done a lot of inner work. So I was pretty okay with myself, and I'd accepted this from the get-go, and that really made, I think that really made a difference too, the kind of experience I've had as a single mom.
Yeah, and your own internal acceptance became your refuge. It didn't matter what anybody across the pond was saying about you or what their perception was. You had already reconciled and made peace with your role and are living it and living it well. So it's been a few years and you're living and walking in your truth with many lessons learned. So you've shared some of them here, but I think more people need to know about it. So what's your plan, girly girl?
Okay, some of the lessons I've learned from this experience is you have to be honest with yourself. Like, I did feel like when getting into this relationship, I did feel that I should make some considerations, but I hid this from myself. You know, you can hide things from yourself and you're not being truly honest. Is this the relationship for me? So that is something that I've learned, that if you're having those doubts, then listen to yourself and make a choice based on your own beliefs and your own values, and not just because you want to be with someone, so you accommodate things that are not within your values. Yeah.
Why settle for something
Yeah.
less than what you really are deserving
Yeah,
of?
yeah.
Simply because you want to say you're in a relationship, or because you really, really want things to work with someone else.
Yeah.
Listening to you, I think the lesson you're giving me here is a lesson on acceptance. And you know, people have such a hard time with accepting what is in the here and now. When you found out you were pregnant, and that is such a brave thing, that acceptance and saying, I am going to do this, that is brave. It really, really is. And there are a lot of people who are changing themselves outside of just even pregnancy. The people who are changing themselves to be accepted by others. If you can't accept yourself and where you are and how you are, don't expect other people to come and accept you, and stop asking people to accept you before you've accepted yourself. You're my lesson on acceptance.
Okay.
You really, really are. I think you came to just open my eyes to that one thing, acceptance. And I'm so grateful for that.
Okay.
Thank you. So words of advice as we wrap up. What would you like to say to a lady who's going through that situation and you know it very well?
I'd like to say that this is not, like, being pregnant is not the end, you know? It's a beginning of a beautiful story, and you're going to discover so much about yourself, so much about how you relate to men at a very young age. And this experience is going to be vital as you continue with life. Because one of the advantages of having a baby early is you're exposed to a lot of the things that people get to learn about later. So you have the advantage that you have dealt with this, you develop tools that you didn't have before, you develop patience, you get humble, you know, the pride of teenagehood is just wiped away by this. You get to reconcile relationship, because for me, my mother and I had a very rough relationship before I got pregnant. But the fact that we had to work together to help me continue with school and all that, it was really reconciliation.
Right.
And from that point, our relationship changed. So this experience has continued to give me very many gifts. Like, every day I look at that girl and I'm like, this was such a, I'm proud of the person I was then, that I was able to make that choice and decide that this is I will keep this baby, and whatever comes, you're going to face it.
And in talking about the baby, is she aware of, you know, the past relationship with of course, her father? Has she expressed an interest in meeting him, or are those discussions that you're saving for a later date?
Over the years, we've had those discussions, but she's been very accepting. Like, she just tells me, I don't know him, so I don't feel like I've lost something because I don't know him. And also, she has a father figure, because I'm in a new relationship, and the person has been there for 6 years. So maybe because she has that, and she's always had a village around her, maybe she'll develop a curiosity. But I've told her over and over again that I'm ready to answer any questions that she may have.
You're being totally honest and upfront with her.
Yeah.
Again, another lesson learned. Don't hide, don't deny, don't lie about what the situation is. Because I know a lot of single mothers who will say, your father died. No, he's in the next estate, you know.
Yeah.
Just be honest and say it for what it is.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you go back to lesson number one, which is accept. Thank you so much, so very much, Monica, for making the time. I wish you all the very, very best. The doors remain open. If you ever need, you know, to reach out to people, or you decide you want to help women who are going through postnatal depression, would you be willing to sit with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
You'd be willing to sit with them and help them get through this rough patch.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching this episode right to the very end. Please drop us a comment, tell us what you think, share this video with someone who needs to watch it, and as always, click subscribe and hit notifications if you haven't already, so that you don't miss the episodes when we upload. We are at the waterfront, Karen, East Africa's premier destination for lifestyle and retail. Do pop in and spend a great day out with friends and family. Check out the amazing facilities. There's a jogging track, the eateries, the shopping stalls, and don't forget to check out the shopping. Oh yes, for your home, for your office, for your house, for your nails, for your bag, for your shoes, for your hair. I could go on and on and on. The waterfront, Karen. You've arrived. Until the next episode, live out loud in all that you do.